look at what materials might work for you, and then listen to every one of them and follow everything the guy does. There isn't an area to go.
Is it Christian based or is it?
No, it's not Christian based, but it's psychologically sound, and you could easily attach to it Christian principles. See, remember that truth is truth. What's ever true as Christians is going to be true for us Christians. And it was going to be true for an atheist as well. Gravity is true, whomever.
I just want to make a point on activeparenting.com. You can look at the book and then you can call library, and 9 times out of 10 they have it. I just did it this week. And so you don't have to spend the money, but if you want to buy, you can buy it.
Don't you though? To Mike's point though, don't you owe that person the conversation, I don't know if you already had it or not, but just in general, the scenario, doesn't the group owe the person the conversation that says, here's the negative effect you're having on us and our feelings and relationship. We'd like to salvage this. That can't continue. You don't just sort of owe that. Isn't there kind of a human obligation to have that conversation? You can't make them behave differently, but just drop them.
Ideally, you should. The problem is, and I'm almost willing to bet, which seconds out of Mike, he's not going to get it. He's not going to understand it. He's not going to be able to hear that. So if you want to do it for yourself, you can. But the other person is not going to hear it, because if he could hear it, he wouldn't have been doing it this long. That friend of yours has terrible empathy. He has no idea how he comes off to other people. And now by telling him that, what most likely is going to happen in the secure model that I gave you earlier is he's going to go into blame. It's you four guys, or it's your family that's the problem. It's not me. He's going to get defensive. But your point is well taken.
I would expect that he would just be like, oh, thanks for pointing that out, straighten up. I don't mean that. It seems, I can't define why, but it seems like
well,
obligation.
I think it's simple justice. It's simple justice.
It puts the decision on him, right? Instead of on a group. I mean, you're telling them that it's wrong, and that you're basically enforcing the group's boundary.
I'll interject here, and if you, just honestly, him not knowing and letting him slide off, I would fear him even taking his life in front of us, that type of thing. So I would just, letting it go without a confrontation is the right way, and we've talked about it. But I mean, I'm looking at 1, 2, and 3, and I'm just going bang, bang, boom. That's him. Bad, bad, bad. And
what I hear you saying is, I don't trust what that person is going to do with that information.
correct, right? Definitely.
And that might mitigate for me whether I tell the person or not.
One of the biggest problems, though, is people don't follow Matthew 18:50. You have a problem with a brother, go to him one-on-one, and then bring a second witness, take it to the church, and then you may just agree to disagree.
He's an atheist, though, right, Mike?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Done this.
Well, see, it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
Evil companions corrupt good morals. You don't want your kids around that kind of influence.
Correct.
That's what he's saying.
I know, but then you
Yeah.
got to draw the line there. That's just the way it is.
I wanted to add something to what Byron said before about should the parents change their behaviors if they want the kids to change. That goes back to the definition of lunacy. How can you expect a different result with the same procedures or the same, actions are going to never give a different reaction? So whether it's with your kids or work or anything, if you expect something to change, doing everything the same and expecting a different result, no.
I don't like to make me the hero of the story. I don't like that, but I'm gonna, if you'll forgive me, I'm gonna be hero for a minute. One of my sons really talked back to me and said a lot of unkind things. And I said to him, I'm glad that you felt safe enough to express your anger to me. But I just want to know one thing from you, David. since you don't know David.
Do you like your tea?
I just want to know this one thing, David. Do I speak to you in that tone and in that way? And immediately he said, no, Dad. You never have. Well, it really hurts me, David, when you speak to me that way. Can you help me with that? And can we work through your problem? I want you to notice a number of the scenarios that I don't use you language. Have you noticed that? I don't use you language. What is the matter with you, David? How dare you speak to me that way? Can't you be more respectful? What am I being to you? Disrespectful.
And confrontational.
And condemnation. And saying things that are very kind. And on and on.
You are very educated and blessed with that knowledge, and I certainly am not at all, because I say those things because I don't have the years of psychotherapy teaching to
But
be
it's,
able to respond to that.
it's practice, man. I've learned from him and I use it. It's practice. None of us, we're not perfect. And it doesn't happen all the time. I mean, trust me, people throw ropes all the time. You can either grab them or you don't grab them.
This is an important thing, and you can tell that he's worked with me. One of the examples I give is that people are holding out a rope, and there's a question. Are you going to pick it up? If you pick it up, you're going to go into a tug of war. You're both going to end up with rope burn. And you might outpower the other person, but then the other person resents you. And when do they have the power? This is a true story, this is about 6 months ago. A kid 16 years old, his dad's in his 40s. They went outside to settle their differences. And whoever won the fight was going to be in charge. The kid beat the living daylights out of him. Now that's crazy. That is crazy.
Sounds like the Vikings.
It's crazy.
Vikings.
So, I try to model the behavior I want from the kids. Why don't your kids respect you? Because you don't respect them. The old days, the parenting was not necessarily better. The old days, when the father talked, it was either you listen or get it across the chops. What you're doing then is you're forcing or outpowering the person. Again, you can force people to do things, but you don't win their hearts. The goal is to win hearts.
So what's your position on discipline?
I believe in discipline, but discipline has to come as it does from God, loving and gentle.
Not always it doesn't.
And understanding.
From God it don't come that way always.
Well, I see Jesus as the full revelation of God. If you want to know who God is, please don't read merely the Old Testament. Read who Jesus was. He was loving. He was direct. He wouldn't lower standards. But I do believe in discipline, but it's how we do the discipline. For example, I don't discipline from a place of anger. I remember one of my children doing something really wrong, and I was really mad. And I remember saying to this guy, Dennis, who you never meet, Dennis, what you've done has really made me angry. And there's a consequence for this. When I calm down, which will be tomorrow, you and I are going to talk this through about a consequence. I calmed down, I got it together, and I said, here is what you did that is unacceptable. I'm going to give you some choice of consequences. But first of all, I want to talk about if you understand that what you did was wrong. And he did show that understanding of what he did was wrong. If you really believe what he did was right, and I'm disciplining them, how am I going to get him to see it a different way? But discipline is a whole other weekend when we do parenting. But go ahead, Bob.
You think maybe in these modern industrialized societies, that maybe the discipline has changed. You still have things from prior centuries, like, no, you can't do that because I'm gonna be real firm, you're gonna get eaten by the grizzly bear there. Or, I mean, there was such danger and such things going on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour basis. If you lived out in the wilderness, or you were a pilgrim 200-300 years ago, things were really serious. I mean, you couldn't.
It's more dangerous today than it was then for your children.
I mean, I'm just wondering if there's some relation with that, like, you know, we gotta get the firewood and water today, or we're gonna starve. I mean, you couldn't sit there and play around with your kid for a week, you had to really do that.
Well,
I don't know.
and if the child recognizes the need, and you as a parent build a good relationship, the child should want to help out. Misbehavior of children, I just don't have time to go here with you. There's 4 reasons why kids misbehave. Power, anger, insecurity, or revenge. And you have to identify which of those 4 are going on, and each has a different disciplinary tactic. That's the only 4 reasons kids misbehave. Power, anger, insecurity, or revenge.